America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We got a great episode for you tonight, folks. Please, everyone, remember to like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. Love to answer questions. We got a lot of different topics to talk about. A lot of different crazy things have been happening over the last week. You know, we've been talking a lot about the Epstein case. We'll be talking about the Epstein case a little bit more today. We'll also be talking about further developments with Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ro Khanna with the release of the Epstein information. We'll talk about possible connections within the Trump campaign to Jeffrey Epstein. Is Jeffrey Epstein still alive? And how the strings for Jeffrey Epstein are still being pulled from what it seems to be beyond the grave. We'll talk about Ghislaine's lawyer releasing a statement from their family regarding the potential of Ghislaine testifying in front of Congress to the client list of Jeffrey Epstein. We have Elmo getting hacked on Twitter. We have new laws being signed to protect the United States against fentanyl being poured over our borders. We've talked about this issue time and time again. And we have more updates regarding the Fyre Festival and Billy McFarland. So like I said, we got a great episode for you tonight, folks. Everyone buckle in for this one. We got a lot of different information. But I want to dive right into our topics today. I want to talk about Trump speaking out against his supporters. Trump took to Truth Social today, and he put out a long post. I want to read this post to you guys because I think it's a pretty crazy one. And it goes like this. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt. Again, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Democrats swore came from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself. A totally fake and made-up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary's and Clinton's big loss in 2016. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Even after being conned by the left for 8 long years, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. That right there is the Truth Social post that Donald Trump decided to put out this morning. He thought putting that post out was a good idea. He thought that it made him look better. He thought that it backed everything he's been saying. And the way they've handled this entire Jeffrey Epstein releasal has been terrible. It's been the worst thing out of the Donald Trump administration in both his terms as president. It's been one of the biggest political scandals of our time. We've talked about this. We've talked about the implications of our government allowing pedophiles to essentially run the country, of them allowing people to just get the message that if you have enough money, you can rape kids and get away with it, that nobody is going to prosecute you for it. And we're not only not going to prosecute you for it, we'll bury the evidence. We will edit videos. We will edit the video of the jail footage. We will parade influencers around the White House with these binders, all so we can make a big show of it that when you're innocent and when we release you, no one will have any way to prosecute you. No one will have any way to show that you were guilty. All these other people will look dumb and like conspiracy theorists. They ruin the credibility of countless influencers who they brought to the White House for the releasal of the phase 1 of the Epstein information, all for them to now look dumb in social media, having to backtrack on all the things they said, all the ways they tried to protect Donald Trump and prove that he's the most transparent administration in history. It literally said those words on the binder, the most transparent administration in history, as they released information that had already been released, and they refused to release any more information. But Donald Trump putting that post up, essentially saying, I don't want support from any of the people who voted for me who want to know more about the Epstein. Okay, you just lost the support of the majority of your voter base. You just lost the majority of support. You lost a lot of voters today for the Republican Party. A lot of people are, the Republicans lost the midterms. This isn't a question now. There's no doubt about it. The Republicans have no fucking chance in the midterms. Why would anyone vote for the party that the president just said, we don't want you to, vote for us. We don't want your support. We don't want you to celebrate any successes that America has if you're still going to push for Epstein. It makes no sense. I don't know. Someone is pulling the strings, whether it's Donald Trump, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Howard Lutnick, who we'll talk about today. That's going to be the featured story of today, is Howard Lutnick. Who is he? His connection to Donald Trump and all the conspiracies around the United States. But someone is pulling the strings for Epstein. Someone is making it possible so that Epstein and all of his associates are essentially able to walk. And the only one in jail right now is Ghislaine. We have the Free Ghislaine movement going. We've had a lot of people jump onto the movement. Alex Jones is now also selling the Free Ghislaine church, just like me. We got a Free Ghislaine. She is the only one rotting in jail for the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. She is literally sitting in a jail cell on a 20-year sentence, 3 years into it, for sex trafficking, and they're now saying that they weren't sex trafficking at all. They're openly saying that. The Attorney General is not saying that because she is not doing any press conferences. She is refusing to, but the President is saying that. The FBI is saying that. The Department of Justice is saying that there was no sex trafficking at all, that we're conspiracy theorists for pushing that information for years. I just don't, I can't stand it. I can't stand the fact that for months, I voted for this. I pushed this. I pushed that they were the most transparent information, only for Trump to not only lie to us, but then to attack his voter base, calling us stupid, calling us weak, and saying that we're not pro-America, essentially, because we don't want pedophiles to run our government. Like, that's not American to say something like that. It's not American. Trump's post today was one of the most un-American things I've ever seen. It essentially said, don't look for truth. It's not important. Truth will never be important to the American people. It is important that you just shut the fuck up and listen to me because I'm your king. That's the message we're getting there, is you're weaklings if you speak out against me. You're weaklings if you speak out against the system that's protecting pedophiles, that's funded by APEC and BlackRock. No, I am going to speak out against the system. I'm not a pussy. I'm going to speak out against the system. It is my right as an American to speak out against the system. And not only is it my right as an American to speak out against the system, it is my right as an American to revolt against the system. And Matt Walsh even said that today. Matt Walsh, who's, people could say he's more extreme, but I honestly think he's one of the more reserved voices in the conservative movement. He actually holds back on a lot of things, and a lot of that is due to his ties to the Daily Wire and what he can and can't speak about because Ben Shapiro is hovering over him at all times. But he literally said we should be revolting against the government if they refuse to give this information up, that we should overthrow the government. He said that directly on his show today, and I could not agree more. We should not tolerate this bullshit. We need millions of Americans to get behind the idea of, it's fucking time. We need to be ready to revolt if they refuse to give the information. And whether that's, through nonviolence or it's through an actual revolution, we need people ready. We need people to stand together. And I hope it does not come to that. I honestly pray it would never come to that. I pray our government just understands that the American people don't want pedophiles to be protected and that the government works for us. And if they refuse to do what they're, essentially employed to do, we're going to fire them. We're going to overthrow them. We're going to replace them. We are going to vote them out. We are going to not vote. We're going to not pay taxes. We're going to do something. We'll do something to send a message. We'll do something to I mean, we got to dismantle the deep state somehow. We can't just let it run things forever. The deep state has been running this country for far too long. Donald Trump campaigned on getting rid of the deep state only to become part of the deep state, or whether it's Pam Bondi or whoever it is, or whether Trump's afraid that he's going to get killed. I don't know what it is, but Trump is literally acting like he's part of the deep state by protecting pedophiles, by not looking to pursue any further arrests. I thought in 2016 we were going to see like Hillary Clinton get arrested. I thought we were going to see arrests back then. We didn't get shit, and now we're still not getting shit. I haven't seen any major politician get arrested. We've seen George Santos go to jail. He's the only fucking one going to jail. There's more corrupt crimes happening every single day on the congressional floor, in the White House, in Washington, D.C., more corrupt crimes every single day than what George Santos did, but yet they still are sending him to jail for 12 years, and they're refusing to investigate Jeffrey Epstein fucking children. Ghislaine Maxwell trafficking these children to Jeffrey Epstein and other billionaires. And Epstein and Ghislaine together filming billionaires having sex with minors to then blackmail them and get their, political agenda pushed through, get money, get blackmail money, get academia support, whatever it was. They were able to get all these things accomplished through blackmail, and either they were running the shittiest blackmail operation of all time because none of the blackmail evidence actually exists, or the people in the White House are partially behind it. They are, possibly indicted in this. They are possibly named in these files. They are possibly behind the files. And we'll get into all that and who in the Trump cabinet could be behind this, what the connections could be. We've talked about the Peter Thiel connection previously. Talk about that more today. But I do want to really quickly talk about Ben Shapiro again, because Ben Shapiro doubled down on... I've been saying it all week, so I'm not going to shine out on him being a bitch. Ben Shapiro has been a total fucking bitch about this. He is selling out his country because he doesn't want to talk bad about Israel and Mossad, and he doesn't want to admit that Israel and Mossad played the United States and played the entire world by running a sex ring pedophile operation through their intel agency. He just doesn't want to admit it, but we'll dive into these topics. We'll talk about what he said. He literally, in his video, said that he has a connection. Of course he fucking does. But he has a connection that is telling him that Jeffrey Epstein was not Mossad, was not intel, had no connections really to Israel at all. Like, okay, Ben Shapiro, like that's... Are you fucking kidding me? That's like when a kid has like cookie crumbs on his fucking face and he's like, no, I didn't eat the cookies. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you have dual loyalty and it's so clear. You don't give a shit about America when it comes to possibly, making Israel guilty of anything. You don't want Israel to be guilty of shit. In your eyes, they are perfect. Their government's never done anything wrong. Their prime minister's fucking amazing to you. They're just in every single military action they've ever taken. They've never done anything wrong. They weren't responsible for the USS Liberty. They weren't responsible for JFK. They weren't responsible for undermining Donald Trump when it came to Iran. And apparently, all the overwhelming evidence that shows that Jeffrey Epstein is Mossad, it's not trustworthy either. According to Ben Shapiro, he has this source that apparently no one else fucking has. Of course Ben Shapiro has it though, that tells him that there's no chance that Epstein is Mossad at all. That it is a negative chance actually, according to fuck you, Ben Shapiro. You're a fucking asshole. You're a liar. You're selling out your country. You are selling your soul to the devil to protect a pedophile. You're claiming, you're going to say it's to protect Israel, protect Mossad. You want to protect your homeland. You have dual loyalty. We get it. You don't actually give a shit about America because all you give a shit about is Israel. It shows in your show. It is so fucking clear. But no, none of that matters. You are just a shill for Israel. It's not cool. It doesn't make you look good. You're losing your voter base. You have to understand that the young conservative movement, and I don't even consider myself that much of a conservative anymore. I consider myself more of an American nationalist, like I talk about. But the young conservative movement, and even the young liberal movement, does not have this undying love for Israel like previous generations had. And we are aware of all the faults of the Israeli government and of their intel agencies, and the fact that they're spying on United States soil, the fact that they ran intel operations on United States soil, including pedophilia operations on United States soil. Like, that's sickening to us. It is disgusting. My generation will not tolerate that. The older generations in this country don't understand the generational differences. There are so many. Like I've talked about, The people of my generation, as dumb as some of them seem to be in a lot of ways, they're way more informed than any other generation, because in a 30-second span, scrolling through fucking TikTok, Twitter, or social media, we're able to consume knowledge unlike any other generations. It's how we grew up, it's how our minds work, and how our minds developed. We are able to retain a lot of this information. We are able to then talk about a lot of this information after we analyze it and do our own research. We are one of the most powerful generations, and sure, newer generations will continue to be more powerful, you know, the ones that grow up with AI in the ways that I didn't grow up with AI when I was in school, and even further beyond that. But the older generations, the boomers, the ones who are fucking up this country, complaining if we touch the Social Security, even though my generation will never get it when we pay it, the ones who hold all the houses and the majority of the wealth in this country, they have this undying love for Israel that my generation just does not have, because they watched the news growing up. That was their source of information. When they were growing up, they had all their news channels, which were extremely biased, the same way they are today. They were no less biased, like Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. They were still biased back in the day. It just wasn't as apparent because we didn't have social media clips blasting 24/7. You didn't have TikTok clips or Vine clips back in the day, or X clips. You didn't have all these things bouncing around, exposing every little fuck up every person said in every show. If one person says one ridiculous thing, it's blasted. It's global headlines. It's, you know, the next trending thing on Twitter 20 minutes later. It's how these things work. So I don't know. I mean, we need to get back to a place of common sense. We need to get back to a place where we can communicate about these things, and the other generations have to start understanding that we can't have dual loyalty in this country, especially in our government and politics. We can't have people who are putting other countries' interests over their United States interests, because this is what happens. You see people like Ben Shapiro, who were once respected voices in American politics, now shilling for pedophiles and protecting pedophiles because he wants to protect Israel. His undying love for Israel and his undying love for Mossad, and to protect his homeland because he is, like we've talked about, dual loyalty, is leading him to be an absolute fucking schmuck. It is leading him to protect pedophiles and to be everything I'm sure he didn't want to be growing up. He is now, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine anyone growing up as a kid and being like, I want to defend the people who fucked people like me. Like, that's just a fucking crazy thought. That's what he's doing, though. That's what Ben Shapiro is doing. Like who said, he sold his soul to the devil. I want to talk about the Thomas Massie bill that's happening with Ro Khanna. And then after that, I want to get into Lutnick, because I think that's going to be the craziest story of the day. Like we've talked about, Lutnick will be the featured story. But the Thomas Massie thing is pretty interesting, because yesterday they tried to slip into the crypto bill the full release. Ro Khanna tried to slip into the crypto bill the full release of the Jeffrey Epstein information. I spoke out against this because, while I do want to see the full release, it has no place in a fucking crypto bill. I gave like a 10-minute rant about how it should just be a standalone bill, and that the government constantly fucks things up because they want to jam other things in other bills to try and be sneaky or whatever it is. And it doesn't work. We see right through that bullshit. Like, just have a standalone bill. Even if it takes a couple extra days, it's worth it. It's more transparency and more transparent to the American people. And it makes way more sense to have a standalone bill for the Jeffrey Epstein files than to jam it in a bill about fucking crypto. It has nothing to do with crypto at all. It just makes no sense. But they released the bill, and I'm going to read the bill to you guys. I'm not going to read like the entirety of every single thing on the bill. I'm going to paraphrase some of it because, again, not every single word is going to be very, very important. But the release of documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein, no later than 30 days after the date of this is enacted, the Attorney General shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the Department of Justice, including the Federal Bureau of Investigations and the United States Attorney's offices, that relate to Jeffrey Epstein, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial matters, including Ghislaine Maxwell, and including flight logs or travel records, including but not limited to manifest, itineraries, pilot records, and customs or immigration documentation for any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle owned, operated, or used by Jeffrey Epstein or any related entity. Individuals, including government officials, named or referenced in connection with Epstein's criminal activities, civil settlements, immunity or plea agreements, or investigatory proceedings, entities, corporate, nonprofit, academic, or governmental, with known or alleged ties to Epstein's trafficking or financial networks, any immunity deals, non-prosecution agreements, plea bargains, or sealed settlements involving Epstein or his associates, internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate Epstein or his associates, all communications, memoranda, directives, logs, or metadata concerning the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, recordings, or electronic data related to Epstein and his associates, his detention and death, or any investigative files. Documentation of Epstein's detention or death, including incident report witnesses, incident report witness interviews, medical examiner files, autopsy reports, and written records detailing the circumstances and cause of death. Prohibited grounds for withholding. No record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of any of the following: embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any governmental official, political figure, or foreign dignitary. Permitted withholdings. The Attorney General may withhold or redact the segregable portions or records that contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personnel and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Depicts or contain pictures depicting or containing child sexual abuse materials as defined under 18 U.S. Code A 2256. Any information would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution, provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. Depicts or contains images of death, physical abuse, or injury of any person, or contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy, and are in fact properly classified pursuant to such executive order. All redactions must be accompanied by a written justification published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress. To the extent that any covered information would otherwise be redacted or withheld as classified information under this section, the Attorney General shall declassify that classified information to the maximum extent possible. If the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects the national security of the United States, including methods or sources related to national security, the Attorney General shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified information. All decisions to classify any covered information after July 1st, 2025 shall be published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress, including the date of classification, the identity of the classifying authority, and the unclassified summary of the justification. Within 15 days of completion of the release required under Section 2, the Attorney General shall submit to the House and Senate committees on the judiciary a report listing all categories of records released and withheld, a summary of redactions made including legal basis, a list of government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the release materials, with no redactions permitted under subsection B1. So that right there is the bill from Thomas Massie. I know that is a fucking earful, and I know that is a ton of different information to throw at you all at once. But we're going to go over what it all means. We're going to go over what it entails. I obviously support it. This hopefully will get huge bipartisan support. This was submitted today after yesterday we saw the media touting around that Republicans all voted against the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, which was an untrue, technically true in the sense of they voted against adding it to the crypto bill, but why the fuck does it deserve a crypto bill when you have Rokon and Thomas Massie doing this right here? It obviously didn't need to be in the crypto bill when they could have just done this like they did it. And this is a way better bill because this is standalone, and we'll be able to know now who is against it and who's for it. Anyone who votes against this, why the fuck would we not prosecute these people? Or, like, I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, they should be hanged publicly. I think anyone who fucks a kid should be hanged publicly. Anyone who facilitates in sex trafficking should be hanged publicly. So why are people who are, denying the release of this information and saying that, no, we can't release it because it's going to expose people like me? Why wouldn't we investigate you? And then if we find out you fuck kids, hang you publicly? Because that's kind of what you're asking for. That's what you're implying you're doing if you're refusing to vote for this. So it'll be interesting to see the vote. It'll be interesting to see who decides to vote against it. I mean, those people are obviously the worst people in our government. The only people who would vote against it are pedophiles, essentially, in my opinion. I do want to talk about this guy I've been mentioning all show. I want to talk about Howard Lutnick. So I want to go back a little and talk about one of his previous relationships before I talk about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But Howard Lutnick runs Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald is the trading company that was tragically hit by 9/11. So on 9/11, when the Twin Towers fell, Cantor Fitzgerald was the company, kind of on the levels where the planes went into. Cantor Fitzgerald was one of the companies that was trading in the trade center, so they were heavily affected by this. Howard Lutnick is, like I said, he is the CEO head of Cantor Fitzgerald, and he is good friends and business partners with Larry Silverstein. Larry Silverstein, we have briefly talked about on a previous episode, but we didn't dive too far into it, but we will in the future. Larry Silverstein is the guy who miraculously, he had whether it was a tarot card reading or a fucking wizard, or he just had a coconut hit him on the head one day, but something told him to buy terrorist insurance on the Twin Towers, to buy it on Tower 7, and pretty much all the buildings that collapsed on 9/11, he seemed to have insurance on, and he seemed to have connections to. One of the other crazy connections is Lutnick and Larry were notorious for, being work hounds. They never missed work. They were always at the office. On 9/11 was the first day that either of them had ever missed work. They both miraculously were just sick or sleeping in that day, whatever it was. But doesn't that seem a little fishy to you? Doesn't it seem a little fishy that a guy who owns terrorist insurance profited heavily off 9/11, didn't show up to work on 9/11, and then now Howard Lutnick is in the Trump camp. He's in the Trump administration, essentially. He's standing next to Trump in almost every interview. Any interview over the last couple weeks, since we've seen Trump's relationship with Israel blossom, we've seen Howard Lutnick in there. What is the connection between Howard Lutnick and Jeffrey Epstein? Well, they were next door fucking neighbors, literally. And you don't just get to be next door neighbors with Jeffrey Epstein randomly. Epstein lived in a Mossad-given apartment. Ehud Barak and Les Wexner gifted this apartment, this $50 million New York piece of real estate, to Jeffrey Epstein, the largest piece of real estate in Manhattan. And the next door neighbor to that guy is Howard Lutnick, the guy who is now standing next to Donald Trump, as Donald Trump is going through every single Jeffrey Epstein interview, as he is constantly saying to the press that he is now denouncing his supporters, that it was a hoax, that Obama created this, Russia created this, Hillary Clinton created this. Like, do you see where this is going? That Trump is, he's either connected to it or they are about to fucking shoot him? Like, they have someone standing next to Trump who is connected to Epstein, who is connected to the 9/11 conspiracy, who has high-power connections to Mossad and Israel. They have him standing next to Donald Trump in these interviews. And you have to imagine when they get on the planes together, they're flying private together, when they're in the White House and in closed meetings together, he has Trump's ear a lot. You have to, through this information, be able to understand that they are probably communicating a ton. They are not only just communicating, but they are strategizing. They are figuring out how to overcome this PR disaster they're dealing with. They campaigned on releasing the Epstein information, and now Donald Trump is literally saying, if you're still talking about Epstein, I don't want you to support me. I'm not going to release the Epstein information because it doesn't exist, and it was a hoax. So he's essentially admitting that him and his entire cabinet campaigned on a hoax, that they pushed a hoax even after they got elected, that they brought in influencers and paraded them around with binders for a hoax, only to then just drop it right there and say that there will be no more information, the entire thing's a hoax. Like, okay, cheers to you, fucking Donald Trump. Welcome to the golden age of America. It's just insane. Why do you try and... Why are you dividing the country? Why are you dividing your voter base? Why are you pushing everything else you can into the media instead of this? Right now, Donald Trump has tried to push like 5 different headlines into the top of the media to bury everyone talking about Epstein. But that's the thing. We're not going to stop talking about it. This is what has been important to us. We've been talking about it since before you got elected. We talked about it after you got elected. We have not stopped talking about it for months, and we won't stop talking about it until we get answers. And guess what? After we get answers, we still won't stop talking about it until we see arrests and until we see people get put to death for this. We need a real bottom-up revolution in this country. We need a real awakening from the politicians. We need them to realize that they work for us, that if they are going to protect pedophiles, that we are going to refuse to put up with it. We are going to refuse to vote for them. We are going to refuse to continue to push their establishments forward, because the Republican and Democratic establishments work together, and they're working against the American people right now, and they're working for Israel. And it's clear because Mossad literally ran a pedophile ring around the entire world trying to blackmail politicians, and it obviously worked to, plan and execution right there, because nobody's fucking ratting. Even after Jeffrey Epstein's dead, Ghislaine's in jail for 20 years, and Prince Andrew's now freed, nobody is speaking. That is exactly what they wanted. That's how a blackmail operation should operate. Not that I want it to happen, but a blackmail operation is supposed to keep everyone quiet, and they've done just that. So you have to be able to acknowledge the effectiveness of Israel and their power they hold over our government. Israel is right now literally holding Donald Trump and holding the United States by the balls, and it's Howard Lutnick who's probably doing it. Howard Lutnick is probably the strong arm. Howard Lutnick is the guy who is standing next to Trump over and over again through the Iran and Israel conflict, through this Epstein release of information. And Howard Lutnick has connections to Jeffrey Epstein. He has connections to Larry Silverstein with 9/11. He has all these weird connections to Mossad, to politics, to, like we've talked about, academia elites. And nobody's questioning it. Nobody's questioning why this guy is standing next to Trump in every single interview he's been in over the last few weeks. Nobody's questioning the corruption. Nobody's questioning the fact that we literally have an Israeli Mossad plant in Trump's cabinet on TV almost every fucking day, and they're not questioning it. And beyond that, I think Pam Bondi might be a plant. Pam Bondi didn't look into the information back when she was the Florida Attorney General, when Epstein was residing in Florida after he was arrested in 2007 for trafficking children. And she facilitated the burial of the information after Donald Trump got in office. She dropped the bribery charges against Fyre after she got in office, and she seemed to has only gotten more corrupt. She refuses to do an interview. She refuses to come to the media and answer questions now that we aren't getting answers. We got literally the opposite of transparency, and Pam Bondi has been absent from the media. She has not done a single interview since Donald Trump and her were in that cabinet meeting, and Donald Trump intercepted the question from her because he didn't want her answering, probably because he didn't know what she was going to say. And we have to assume that Donald Trump is possibly on the list or indicted in these files, or someone very close to him is in these files, and that's why he's protecting them. We need the full release of this information. We need the Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna bill to push through. There's already a lot of bipartisan support and a lot of people saying they're going to sign on to this bill, but we need this bill to get pushed through. We need the full release of the information. And if we're not getting the full release of the information, what is holding Americans back from revolting? Because obviously the system is destroyed. Why would we continuously support the system that supports pedophiles and allows them to run rampant and fuck kids? It just does not make sense to me. My tax dollars won't fund that. I won't vote for that. I will not support that. And it's not just Republicans only. Democrats are just as bad. We didn't see Biden or any of them push to release the Epstein files, but we know why they didn't push to release them. We know they didn't push to release them because Bill Clinton was involved. I'm sure there's donors from the GOP, from the Democratic side, that are involved in this Jeffrey Epstein case, and that's why there's probably bipartisan support on the back end from the deep state to not release this information, from the lobbyists to not release this information. But that's even more reason to release it. We need to dismantle the deep state, destroy the deep state, drain the swamp, as Trump once said. He is now the swamp, but we need to drain it because the swamp is only getting greater. The swamp is the strongest it's ever been. The deep state has never been stronger. They just not only fucked a bunch of kids and got away with it, but they essentially just fucked all of us. I feel like I just got raped by the fucking Department of Justice and the FBI. I feel like I just got violated by them because for years they lied to us and told us that we were going to get this information only for them to say, no, we're going to protect Mossad. We're not going to prosecute anybody. We're not going to release any information. We're going to essentially suck the fucking dick of Jeffrey Epstein from the dead. We are going to do what we can to show him that we are so fucking loyal to him. That's what they're trying to do. They are trying to prove their loyalty to Israel, to Mossad, to Jeffrey Epstein, to whoever. And I don't understand why Ghislaine's in jail still. I want her to be in jail. I honestly want her to be dead. She was sex trafficking people to high-profile billionaires and politicians. But our government seems to disagree. Our government seems to think that Ghislaine does not need to be in jail at all because they don't think there was any sex trafficking. They're not directly saying she shouldn't be in jail. They're saying she should, but they're not giving us any reason why. It's very hypocritical of them, very dumb of them. I want to read the proposed letter, or the letter that her family sent, that they wrote and the lawyer drafted. So this is from Ghislaine's family for immediate release from the Maxwell family. Our sister Ghislaine did not receive a fair trial. Her legal team continues to fight her case in the courts and will file its reply in short order to the government's opposition in the United States Supreme Court. If necessary, in due course, they will also file a right of habeas corpus in the U.S. District Court. SDMY, this allows her to challenge her imprisonment on the basis of new evidence such as government misconduct that would have likely changed the trial's outcome. Following the government's response, David Oscar Marcus, counsel of record for our sister in her petition to the United States Supreme Court, had this comment. I'd be surprised if President Trump knew his lawyers were asking the Supreme Court to let the government break a deal. He's the ultimate deal maker, and I'm sure he'd agree that when the United States gives its word, it should keep it. With all the talk about who's being prosecuted and who isn't, it's especially unfair that Ghislaine Maxwell remains in prison based on a promise the U.S. government made and broke. These are sentiments with which we profoundly concur. End. So that's a statement right there from Ghislaine's family, from her lawyer, from I'm sure they have a family lawyer, a Mossad lawyer, or whoever the fuck it is. But that's the statement we're getting from them. It is essentially saying that, why am I in jail if you're saying that there's no sex trafficking going on? There's obviously government conspiracies happening, and I want to be able to testify to this. We know that there's going to be lies told. We know that she's Mossad, and that if she was to get up there, she would be pushing Mossad's agenda, but we do deserve to hear it from her mouth. We do deserve to hear the words that she's willing to say and the words she's willing to testify to and be able to decide for ourselves whether it's truth or not. It's not Donald Trump's, choice whether to decide whether Ghislaine gets to testify in this after he's burying the information. It only makes him look more guilty. And the government just wants to, like I said, they want to blame Ghislaine for sex trafficking and Jeffrey Epstein for sex trafficking, but then they don't want to prosecute, or they want to prosecute Ghislaine for sex trafficking, but they don't want to blame them for sex trafficking. They want to say that there was none, but then they want to arrest her and hold her in jail for 20 years for sex trafficking. It's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's just fucked up. Why are you holding this woman in jail and then saying there's no sex trafficking? And I'm not really arguing that Ghislaine should be out, even though I make those jokes, but it's, you should hold the pedophiles accountable. accountable. You should, the same way we're holding Ghislaine accountable and she's in jail for 20 fucking years, she should be dead. All these other people should be dead or in jail. Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, all these people who are fucking these kids on this island should be held accountable and should be jailed, should be hanged publicly, honestly. Why is this not happening already? Why do we have a government who allows this? Why do we have a government who is facilitating the cover-up of one of the craziest political scandals of all time? A guy who fucked kids and held it over politicians' heads because he made them fuck kids as well and videoed it. It's absolutely grotesque and disgusting. It violates everything that America stood for. Our founders, if they were alive today, would be revolting against this current government. I bet they would find this government worse than they found the British back in the day. I bet the British were less corrupt than the American government is right now. The British, again, they didn't have freedom of speech. They had a lot of these limitations, but they were able to revolt against the government. We're not able to. Our government suppresses anyone who wants to revolt. Anyone who tries to, gather groups of people together, they get immediately doxxed by the FBI, by the deep state, by people on social media. The government immediately marks them a terrorist organization. They're not able to fly. They're put on no-fly list. They're not able to communicate. They get debanked. They get deplatformed. They're not able to use payment processors, etc. The government and the deep state is controlling way too much. They're not allowing the American people to do what they're entitled to do within the Constitution and within our founding documents. And we need to get back to an America that supports American values. That's why I push American nationalism on the show. That's why I push the Federalist Papers onto people. Our book of the week, 86 essays about why America has, at the time it wasn't written that way, but now when you read it, it's 86 essays explaining how America has lost its ways. America needs to get back to the ways our founders wanted our, founding documents to be interpreted, which this explains. It explains the best parts of our founding documents, the best parts of what this country can be and what it should be, and how right now we have a complete divide in this country. We have divides inside the political parties, divides of the political parties, and we need to get back to a system of American nationalism that actually puts the power in the people's hands, where the government realizes that they work for the people. They don't work for themselves. They're not working for a paycheck. They're not working for the lobbyists or APEC or BlackRock or the pedophiles. They work for us. But they don't act like that. They all act like they work for these other people, the three-letter agencies, the NGOs, the bureaucrats, APEC, BlackRock, and pedophiles. It's just, I don't know. It hurts me that this is what's happening. It hurts me that I pushed the fact that they're the most transparent transparent government only for them to fail on that and to go back on that. I really think Ghislaine does deserve to testify. I think, like I said, you got to take everything this bitch says with a grain of salt. She is a pedophile. You cannot trust a pedophile. It's rule number one, but we do need to hear her talk. And normally I wouldn't want this, but with everyone else dead and no one else willing to talk, we need her to talk. We need to hear this statement. The American people deserve to hear this statement. It will literally be the most televised event in American history. I want to get to some of our other topics. I'm sure we'll come back to the Epstein stuff towards the end of the episode again. But I do want to talk about other just things happening on Twitter and in the world. So this happened on X this week. We briefly talked about it at the start, but I'm going to talk about it again. Elmo, his account was hacked. I don't know if I should even call Elmo a he, but Elmo's account was hacked, and these are the tweets that came out. And again, this is not me, this is Elmo. Elmo says all Jews should die. Fuck Jews. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. Jews control the world and need to be exterminated. Release the Epstein files, Donald Trump, you child fucker. Kill all Jews. And again, this is Elmo speaking, not me. This is fucking crazy. It's fucking insane. You now have like the PBS and you have the network reaching out or tweeting out saying, the account was hacked, that this was not Elmo, and that they do not support these views. And I'm like, was it really hacked? I don't know. No, I don't watch Elmo. I don't know if Elmo is an anti-Semite. Maybe Elmo does think Trump's a kid fucker. Maybe Elmo does think all these things about the Jew. No, I'm just kidding, obviously. But it is just crazy to think that, people could just hack an account like that, tweet out crazy shit, and It seems when accounts are hacked, that's always the shit they tweet out. They know that's the fastest way to get you canceled, is to speak out against the Jews, speak out, say certain things. I mean, like, that's obviously saying all Jews need to be exterminated. You can't justify, that's a very terrible statement, obviously. You shouldn't call for the genocide of anybody besides pedophiles. But it's just funny to think that there are certain people who saw this and believe this. There are certain people who saw it and they're like, what the fuck, Elmo? They're saying that, like, it was obviously hacked. The fact that they had to come out and say they were hacked, just, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me because it was just painfully obvious. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Elmo, the kids TV host, like the little fucking cartoon puppet is now he's Mecha Hitler. He's Hitler 2.0. Like, oh my fucking god. The people on X who believe that are dumb as shit. It is just, I don't know, it's where this country's at right now. We have people who believe that when Elmo tweets out shit like that it's actually real. No, it's obviously fucking hacked. I do want to get to some other things we got going on. I actually just saw pop up on my screen. There was a 7.3 magnitude earthquake in Alaska. So really quick, let's pray that everyone is safe there and pray that everyone is okay. That is obviously a massive earthquake. It wasn't even on the schedule for today. It just kind of popped up. But yeah, I mean, let's pray everyone's safe there. Let's pray they're okay. Let's pray that that nobody dies, nobody gets too injured through this. But yeah, 7.3 is a massive, massive earthquake. And now they're saying tsunami warning. A tsunami is imminent, they're saying. Holy shit. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I mean, if there's a tsunami today, we're going to do a live stream later to talk about that and show it. I mean, that's actually insane. I mean, prayers to everyone in Alaska right now. Please, everyone, stay safe. Not that I think I have viewers in Alaska, but just in case, please stay safe. Let's see, what else do we have today? We had, they have a new bill that Trump signed through today. It's called the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act. You can kind of get what the name is, but it stops all the loopholes regarding fentanyl, and you think, what the fuck, there's loopholes? Yes, there's knockoffs to every drug. Every time a drug is made illegal, and they enforce, to a higher standard, the degree of punishment for these drugs, they create, different variations, synthetics of the drugs to avoid those things, lesser crime sentences, etc. They're closing those loopholes. They're making people unable to now smuggle fentanyl or variations of fentanyl over the border without seeing the maximum punishment. And obviously this is good. As someone who has seen people die of fentanyl with my own eyes, as someone who went to West Virginia University and saw how fentanyl affected a lot of people, I don't think anyone should be doing coke, but I don't think anyone doing cocaine should be dying off doing a bump. I don't think that's that's fucking terrible. We should live in a country where, people aren't dying off just doing the drugs they're doing. And it's not me trying to say people should be doing drugs. People should not be. But you don't really die off a hit of cocaine unless there's fentanyl in it or something else in it that kills you. So these are obviously problems. And obviously we need to limit people using drugs, but we need to limit the spread of fentanyl. This is obvious. So this was a win for the Trump. Oh, wait, I'm not allowed to say it was a win for the Trump administration. According to Trump said he doesn't want us to celebrate the wins of America anymore if we're speaking out. Fuck you, dude. Shut the fuck up. I'll do what the fuck I want. You fucking protect pedophiles. You and Lutnick, you go fucking have a circle jerk in your fucking Air Force One. Fuck you guys. Don't tell me what I can and can't celebrate. I'm an American. I will do whatever the fuck I want. I want to talk about a few other topics. I want to talk about... This one's actually kind of funny. I mean, I've actually talked to this guy multiple times, but Billy McFarland sold the rights to Fyre Festival 2 on eBay last night for $245,000. I mean, I want to break this down. He sold it on eBay. That's the fun, are you fucking... Not even buy, biz, sell, or biz, buy, sell, or Facebook Marketplace or even fucking Craig. He sold it on eBay. That's hilarious. I don't know what schmuck decided to buy this or what dumbass decided to buy this, but obviously an awful business decision. I actually thought that maybe he would be able to get his shit together and people would ironically, get tickets to Fyre Festival 2 and that they would actually be able to put up a decent event. But this guy seems like a schmuck. Like, I literally, like, this is inside scoop on this. I DM'd him after he got out of prison, and he's very active in his DMs. I don't know if he is with everybody, but I gave him, like, after he got out of prison, I gave him a good message. I said, like, hey, like, hope you're able to get your life together. Hope you're able to get back on your feet, etc. He said, you know, like, thanks for reaching out, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I'm going to try and do better. And that was kind of it. And then I reached out a few months later just asking him for social media tips, because obviously he is one of the best marketers of all time. Whether you agree or disagree with him scamming people, obviously we should disagree, but he's great at marketing. He's great at getting the word out. He is excellent at it. So I reached out to him asking about marketing questions specifically regarding social media, and he tried to set up a meeting with me. The meeting actually never ended up happening, just due to scheduling conflicts. But then he announces he's doing Fyre Festival 2 shortly later. And then after he announces he's doing Fyre Festival 2, I reach out to him. And I'm like, hey, if this thing's actually happening, you know, like, just curious, what are the sponsorships looking like? What are the vendor situation looking like? Because I own small businesses. I was looking to possibly place my small businesses at the event. You know, at festivals, they have food vendors, product vendors, all different kinds of things. But my company was in the hemp industry with THC products, so I was like, okay, it could work at a festival. Reached out to him. Immediately, I get a response back, which was, like, again, crazy. This guy's active on his DMs. Within a minute, I get a response back. He's like, hey, text me here. So I text him there, and then he puts me through to one of his salespeople. So when his sales guy then reaches out to me, it's the craziest thing. This kid couldn't have been older than 21 to 25 by tone of his voice. And I don't give a shit about his age as much because, you know, I was young when I started my businesses. I actually think young people are the future of this country. But this guy obviously had no experience in sales, no experience beyond what Billy McFarland had taught him with scamming, because he calls me. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, hey, fuck that. Like, you know, how much money are you looking to donate? And I was like, whoa. Like, what are you fucking talking about? But immediately, they're like, how much money do you want to put in? And I'm like, yo, before we fucking, let's talk specs. Let's talk, like, what's going to happen. Like, theoretically, if I'm putting in this amount of money, like, what does my company get out of it? What exposure do I get? How many people are going to see it? Is it going to be a VIP? Is it going to be regular? And he's like, yeah, like, you're asking a fuck ton of questions, dude. He's like, I gotta move on fast. He's like, how much money are you looking to throw at this? And I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna throw any money your way if you're not gonna just, A, talk to me with some respect, and B, just tell me the answers to the questions I'm asking you. And he's like, okay, so for, like, this amount of money, for, like, 100,000, you know, we could place you in all the VIP tents. For, like, 50,000, we could do this. But he's like, depending on what your budget is, he's like, just tell me and we'll just create something custom for you. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, if I wanted to go for a $100 budget or a $10,000 budget, I'm like, there's a different package for each. He's like, yeah, we'll take donations from anybody. And I'm like, so you'll take donations from vendors who want to do like $100? And then he's like, yeah, we're literally taking donations from anybody. We'll do anything for anyone. And I'm like, okay, this seems fucking off. Because one, no big festival, no event in the world does that. No one just takes these donations. They have, like, verified sponsorships through brands they, like, heavily vet and look into to make sure they're compatible with the event, compatible with their people who are coming to the event, you know, that the actual brands align, that there's not mixed messaging. Like, if I was he didn't ask anything about my company at this point. He didn't know what my products were. He didn't know who they were tailored to. He didn't know anything about them. And they're THC products. So for all this guy knows, it's fucking t-shirts or pencils or magnets. But this guy didn't ask me that. And it literally, like, my company could have been, like, a company that says raves are bad, and my messaging is just selling shirts that say raves are shitty and bad and they kill your brain health. And he wasn't even asking that. He didn't care what I was selling. They were just trying to collect money from anyone by any means possible, and it obviously was very ineffective, because now you see, months after announcing Fyre Festival 2, he sells the rights to the entire brand for $250,000 when he's still, like, $28 million in debt in the hole to investors he scammed in Fyre Festival 1. So that's like a slight inside scoop to how their sales operation worked. They literally had these young guys. I'm sure they had a team of a few of them. They were mainly operated in, like, you know, the Northeast. The guy who called me had a 631 number, so he was fucking, like, Long Island-ish area. But he was just a douchebag, and that's not correct. Like, people from Long Island can be douchebags. Not everyone. I love a lot of people from Long Island, but we all know how the Northeast works. I'm from there. But yeah, this guy literally called me and he's like berating me, like, how much money are you gonna throw? How much money are you gonna throw? And when I would refuse to say I'm gonna throw money without like knowing what I'm gonna get or like having a contract or anything like that, it just led to him hanging up and the conversation ending. It was one of the most unprofessional things I'd ever experienced in my entire venture of starting my own businesses, doing event. Like, I do events all the time, and it's crazy to think that Billy McFarland was trying to fucking scam me, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised that he sold the rights to it. I'm not surprised that we're not going to get a Fyre Festival 2. We barely got the Fyre Festival 1. I wasn't a supporter then. I didn't even really know who the guy was until I saw the documentary, which that's a great one. If you haven't seen that on Netflix, I urge everyone to watch that. But yeah, he's obviously is no more than just a scam artist. That's what he is. He's trying to scam people. He's trying to scam small business owners, trying to scam your average American, just anyone who is willing to throw money towards the event. They even sold like tickets that were hundreds of thousands, if not like $1 million for this event. I think they did sell $1 million ticket for Fyre Festival 2. Do these people now get the money back now that the rights are being sold? How does that work? It's just, I don't know. It just does not make sense to me. Does not make sense. Let's see. Did we have any more topics today? I feel like we talked about a lot. I don't know. Well, I do think if I had any other things I want to talk about, let me look on my... Let's pull up X here. Let's pull up some news sources, see if any headlines popped up while I was filming this. Okay, this is a big one. Donald Trump says he has spoke to Coca-Cola and they are going to be using real cane sugar for all their Coke products. Or probably just Coke, not Diet Coke, because Diet Coke is aspartame. But they are going to be using real cane sugar. This is obviously a lot healthier. The Make America Healthy Again movement, this is a win for that. Like Donald Trump said, he doesn't want us to speak about wins, but I said, fuck you, I'll speak about whatever the fuck I want to speak about. We're still monitoring this tsunami warning. Let's see if there's anything there. Well, before we get to this, is funny. I mean, they're pushing through the PBS NPR cuts through Doge, the Doge cuts. J.D. Vance was the tie-breaking vote on that. I guess we could talk about that. He was the tie-breaking vote to push through the Doge cuts. And it's just funny to me that, like, PBS and NPR are getting their funding cut right after this Elmo thing. I know it has no relation to Elmo getting hacked, but it's just funny to think Elmo tweeted out this crazy shit, and then right after they lose their funding. I know there's no relation because it's Doge-related, but... the timing is just great. I mean, the timing is funny. Let's see. Any new headlines? And we're going to monitor this tornado, or this tsunami warning for a second, see what happens. So they're saying it's imminent, and they're saying it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, not a ton of stuff is trending. Bitcoin's trending now. It popped up back to 120. If you own some Bitcoin, this is a win. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clips of the Gavin Newsom, Sean Ryan show podcast popping up in my feed. That's been trending for a few days now. I urge anyone to go watch that. It's like 4 hours long, so it's definitely a little bit of time to get through. But you see Gavin Newsom, he takes this more in-the-middle stance than he used to take on certain things, but you see him still, he doesn't fold. Like, he's a good talker, but he does get flustered, and he does change, from his original positions that he's talked about. But he doesn't like fold in the sense of he doesn't like change his mind mid-sentence. He is consistent when he does talk in the moment, but he's not consistent over time. He says one thing one year, another thing another year. He's constantly changing it. He's constantly trying to push himself more towards the middle. So when 2028 comes, he's not this like far left extremist who allowed kids to get sex changes and like allowed kids to be taken away from their parents if they weren't, if schools told parents about the kids' sex change and they didn't affirm the care about women being in men's sports, just about like crime laws in general. He loves to go on X and spout about crime laws and murder rates. But most of their murders are not solved, and they also allowed people to steal up to $950. So stores had to raise their prices of products to say it was $12 to like $962 with a $950 discount sticker, so that way if someone stole, they could actually prosecute them. These are unnecessary steps that business owners had to take, and more expensive steps the business owners had to take. They had to lock up their products because the California government refused to hold criminals accountable. But Gavin Newsom wants to go on the Sean Ryan show. He wants to talk shit about Joe Rogan, that Joe Rogan won't let him on his podcast, when he literally is screwing up what is one of the biggest economies in the entire world and what was one of the most beautiful states in the entire world. He forced vaccine mandates and mask mandates, and he even pushed that Joe Rogan was a conspiracy theorist about ivermectin, even though scientists have proved him time and time again that he was wrong on that. I think Gavin Newsom is a shill. I think he's a cuck. I think he probably is a cuck, but he made his campaign manager a cuck as well. He literally slept with his campaign manager's wife, so just a dishonest guy too. He's not a great person. He is someone who slept with his supposed best friend at the time's wife. No one, like, I would never sleep with my best friend's wife if he had one, and if he had one, and like if he slept with mine, I'd fucking kill him if I had one. Like, same thing. It's just you don't sleep with your best friend's wife. That's rule number one of having a best friend, and especially if you work with them. I mean, and you're involved in politics and you're in the, public eye. Like, why would you do something so disgusting and grotesque and just so ungodly and just so terrible? You make your whole state look worse when you do things like that. Let's see. Still checking if there's anything else in the news. Yeah, not a, yeah, really not a ton. I mean, there's a lot of people just split over this Trump thing. We have a few people who are shilling for Trump and saying he could do no wrong and that this is a conspiracy theory, like Ben Shapiro, but the overwhelming majority are kind of where I'm at right now, where they're just speaking out against it, and especially against his comments today, where he's speaking out against the entire Republican Party, because we're the ones who put him in this place. Like, he was self-funded in 2016, and now he's not. He took donations from millions of Americans only to sell Americans out to lobby for the people who donated the most to him. He sold out for Miriam Adelson, sold out for Lutnick, sold out for all these billionaires who gave him hundreds of millions of dollars to bury the Epstein information, to bomb Iran, to continuously sell out the American people and basically become the deep state. I really think it's possible Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. I mean, I never thought it was true, but like, how the fuck are the strings still being pulled? Is he still alive? I don't know if I actually think that. It's a possibility. Like, we all have to be able to acknowledge that there's legit possibilities alive, because we're living in really fucking weird times. We're seeing the fall of America, the fall of the American government. We're probably closer to a revolution than we've ever been after COVID, after the lies we were told with the vaccine, after 9/11, after the housing crash, after millennials and Gen Z are just fucked on buying homes, and now the burial of the Epstein information. Like, what's holding people back? The role of the government is to make the American people happy, not to completely fuck us all over. Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any more headlines. The more I keep scrolling, the more just bullshit I'm seeing. I'll probably end up signing off here for today. I want to talk about our book of the week, I guess, real quick before we go. Federalist Papers. We talked about it yesterday, but it is 86 essays from founders, from people in our early government who wanted to show the beauty of what America could be if it, followed the founding documents, and why the founding documents are meant to withstand time and withstand, leadership, withstand tyranny, withstand all these things, because These are great ideas that could build an amazing nation and did build an amazing nation. And the more progressives have tried to stray away from, the foundation of this country, the worse we have gotten. We need to get back to the foundation of this country. We need to get back to what our founders wanted from us. We need to bring value back to the dollar, value back to being an American, value back to all these things. I want America to continue to be a powerhouse in the world, but I don't want it to do it in the way it's been doing. I don't want us to be protecting pedophiles. I don't want us to be protecting billionaires. I don't want us to be punishing the American worker and taxpayer. I don't want us to be offshoring our labor. I don't want us to be devaluing our dollar and importing the next working class. I don't want us to be fucking with children. I don't want people to be fucking children. I don't want any of the corrupt politics that we have now. I want a complete overhaul of the system. I want people in politics to be held accountable. I want politicians to be held accountable, bureaucrats to be held accountable. I want Israel to be held accountable. I want Jeffrey Epstein, and I want Lutnick, and I want Larry Silverstein, and I want all the people tied to this corruption. I want them held accountable. I want Ghislaine to be able to testify. I don't want them to be able to silence her. We need to be able to have transparency. We need to be able to trust that our government is telling us the truth and that our government is not lying to us every time they talk to us. Because right now it seems like our government is lying to us at all costs. And then you have people who just go along with it. We've talked about Ben Shapiro, and even there's it sounds dumb when I say it, but Cat Turd. It's like one of the bigger names in the conservative movement. He's a war veteran. He runs a podcast. He's like a 60-year-old dude, and he runs an account called Cat Turd on social media. It's got like 5 million followers. But the guy's an absolute fucking shill for Trump when it comes to things like this. He's one of the people like Ben Shapiro who's refusing to speak out against it, who's just saying, yeah, I trust it completely. I have no reason not to trust it. Literally, I think Donald Trump could call Cat Turd a bitch and say Cat Turd should literally go eat a cat turd, and I think he would still defend Donald Trump over it. It's fucking insane the levels people will go to defend politicians just because they defended them in the past. If you want to be honest with yourself, be honest with the American people, and be honest about what's happening, you need to be able to acknowledge the current situation. And even if, like me, I pushed for months that Donald Trump was part of the most transparent administration in history, I'm now reporting that's not true because I'm actually honest at what I do. I'm honest. I have integrity. I care about the American people. I care about truth. I care about transparency. If Donald Trump gave a fuck about transparency, then we would have read the Epstein files last week instead of seeing a doctored video where 3 minutes were deleted out of the video, where 2 clips were stitched together, where they literally don't even show Jeffrey Epstein being taken out of his cell in the morning, and there's shadowy figures by his cell at the times where he most likely would have been killed. But no, that's transparency to them, is not releasing any of the real information, just releasing the altered information, releasing information we had months ago that was released in the Ghislaine trial. This is not transparency. This is not the most transparent administration of all time. This is the biggest cover-up of all time. This is Donald Trump lying to the American people, and I'm sick of it. I hope you guys are sick of it as well. I'm going to refresh this one more time, see if there's any more updates on Alaska or any more updates on anything happening before I sign off. Okay, the tsunami got downgraded to an advisory from a warning, but there are still earthquake warnings in the area. Okay, I mean, that's positive. I don't want people to die. Yeah, I mean, that looks like it's kind of it. I mean, there's not a ton more information. I am probably going to sign off today. I hope you guys have a blessed day, a blessed afternoon, and I will see you guys tomorrow. This has been America Unfiltered. Please remember to like, follow, smash the follow button and subscribe button. Leave a comment or send a super chat if you have any questions. All super chats will be read out right on the show, popped up on the screen. All comments I'll try and get to back directly. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys watching the show and supporting the show. I want everyone to continuously speak out against this. Speak out against BlackRock, APEC, pedophilia. It's not cool to shill for Israel. It's not cool to shill for big business. It's not cool to shill for pedophiles. It's not cool to shill for government corruption. We need to push American nationalism and what our founders wanted for this country. Again, thank you guys and have a blessed day. I'm James Pascalides. I'm signing off today.